Well, these things are critically important. One more bill that I want to take up before I turn to what we can do next is a bill that dealt with the fundamental reason that the American economy crashed in 2007-8, and that was the meltdown of Wall Street. The extraordinary greed, the games that were being played, the gamble that was being made with our money by Wall Street led to the collapse. Obviously, the housing industry, the subprime mortgage market, collateralized debt obligations, the derivatives, all of those games are being played on Wall Street. For more than a year, almost 2 years now, this House, the Democrats, have fought to rein in Wall Street, to force Wall Street to operate with rigorous rules that hold them accountable and responsible. We finally succeeded late last year to pass a Wall Street Reform Act. It went over to the Senate. It took a whole almost 9 months for the Senate to gestate a bill. Conference committee took place. The conferees met. Bill came to this floor, and we added a few provisions to the bill came to the floor, and it passed with provisions that were added during the conference committee. A good bill. It does rein in Wall Street, does set clear rules, makes it impossible for a bank to fail and for taxpayers to bail out a bank, a big bank. There are things in it that went beyond that, providing opportunities for small banks, some of the additional benefit to small banks. They were given a break so that the heavy-duty regulations that were imposed on the major banks were not imposed on the small banks. Where do you stand? Do you stand to rein in Wall Street and finally bring to heel the bankers that brought this nation's economy to its knees and doggone near tanked the economy, putting us into a depression equal to 1930? Do you stand with that kind of regulation? Or do you stand with the Wall Street bankers and say, oh, trust us, we'll never do it again? The Democrats in this House carried the burden of reining in Wall Street, setting in place the regulations, setting in place the rules of the road going forward, hopefully preventing, and I think will prevent, the kind of meltdown that we had. Our colleagues on the Republican side, to a person, voted no when it came time to discipline Wall Street. They voted no when it came time to discipline Wall Street. You know where you stand when you vote here in this House. In this case, do you stand with the regulation of Wall Street, or you let them continue doing what they did? It's clear where we stood as Democrats. Now, Charlie, would you like, excuse me, Representative Wilson, would you like to add to that?
Yes, I would. Thank you. I believe the other thing that needs to be said here, too, is Democrats stood strong with financial reform by making sure that we never get in a position where the taxpayers have to bail out a bank again. There's no such thing as too big to fail anymore. There are further amounts I would like to have seen done, but in order to get it through, we had to lighten up some of the...
There's a compromise.
Yes, some compromise. But that being said, I truly believe that now we have taken the risk away from the taxpayers having to pay for the really reckless gambling and things that went on with the derivatives and how they accounted for them and how they were being able to be manipulated. And really, oversight is now on Wall Street, and it needed to be there all along. I truly believe we would have not had the meltdown we've had it been there in the first place. It is there now, and it will continue to help us in the future.
I was back in the district over the 4th of July week, and somebody said, well, it's kind of like an NFL football game. And I go, what do you mean by that? And they said, well, you used to play football at the University of California at Berkeley, and you could have been in the NFL, but you decided to go in the Peace Corps. I said, yeah, it was a good decision, but what's the point here? And he said, well, you know, this Wall Street bunch, before your reform, it was like an NFL football game without any rules, and the referees were sent into the locker room. Yeah. And you can kind of imagine what the outcome would be. Wild chaos and a lot of mayhem. And he said that's exactly what happened on Wall Street. the regulators during the Bush period stepped out of the room. The rules were not there to prevent the kind of excesses. If there were rules, there was nobody to make them obey it, and we wound up with the problem we had.